me to ask questions, and then if you could again like redirect back to the
Stay here?
Yep.
When the whole time?
The whole time.
Okay.
Yep.
I can look at Irish.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I'm ready when you guys are. First of all, if you could just, again, on your end, kind of address on the Durham side what was happening yesterday and this morning and how you guys were going about addressing some of those issues.
Well, first I'd like to say that we're very proud to be here to service the students, parents, and the community of Roanoke City. And also apologize for any inconvenience, distress that we've caused anybody. It is certainly our desire and goal, and we will deliver all students safely, on time, and ready to learn at school. Yesterday and today, this morning, we did less than that. And we've worked very hard already to make adjustments on, as Dr. Lyons mentioned, our communication with our phone system and the addition of additional lines here should we have to roll them over from our facility on Barnes Road. We've made adjustments to schedules, and we will continue to adjust as needed with timing and so on, arrivals at schools, pickup times, and everything. It's an ongoing process we're working very diligently at every day.
Do you have any statistics as far as number of buses you had and the number of those buses yesterday that were late?
I do not have the statistics on the number of late buses, I'm sorry.
What directly could you attribute, besides the phone issue in particular, but when it comes to the lateness from the routes, to what do you attribute specifically those issues?
Well, the first day of school, as Dr. Lyons mentioned, you start a first tier of routes with elementary students, and of course, we want to get all those students on the right bus, delivered on time. So to make sure we get them to the right school, make sure they're picked up, you have parents meeting a bus driver for the first time in the morning. It usually on a first day delays you some. And then that carries on to the second tier routes, which are middle school and high schools. So it just compounds as you go through the day. Also, traffic patterns have changed. It's the first day. School buses are back on the road for everything. But I won't use that as an excuse. We continue to run those routes and make adjustments. We also, in transparency, are still hiring drivers. I know a question was asked earlier, our staffing. We are about 90%. We strive to be at 110%. So we're continuing to hire. We do have a strong, as we call it, a pipeline of drivers that are in different levels of training that will be coming out to drive buses over the next day and ongoing. And we will continue to hire quality people to drive our buses.
When you're short on staffing, what do you have to do to make up to ensure that all those routes are run? Well,
at times we will use our staff who also are certified bus drivers, and then we double routes at times where we'll have to have a driver do more than one route, and that at times can lead to the delays as well.
In anticipation of the new school year, did you all do any practice runs before the first day to kind of figure out the different routes, how much time it was going to take, that sort of thing?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, this past Friday was a dry run day, and it also includes the 6th and 10th grade orientation. And then we, as we call it, dry run, or we run those routes continuously. I mean, if we have to make an adjustment on a route, we may run it after this morning and get somebody out there and say, okay, go run through this and see if the new time makes sense, or, or did we give it enough time? Do we need to leave earlier? All those things are adjustments that sometimes, although it looks good on paper, a route with the routing software, once you go run it, you may need 5 more minutes, or make an adjustment to stop time. So we're constantly doing that as needed.
I know Durham has presence in a lot of school systems across really the country. How frequently you run into these problems early on in the school year, especially right after you transition to start providing transportation?
Well, we are all over the country. We've been doing it for 100 years, and I'd like to say there's never an issue at startup, but there's always something to learn, no matter how hard we try. And as I mentioned earlier, our greatest asset is our people and having outstanding drivers to drive our routes. And that is one of our biggest impact now that we're still searching for more outstanding people. But it happens from time to time.
Some students were 90. You said 90% of the driver positions have been filled. Does that include subs?
Yes. So we're still looking to hire 10 to 15 more drivers, at least.
Some students weren't dropped off until 5 p.m. for a 2:30 dismissal. Are you able to account for where the children were for 2.5 hours?
I can't address a specific child, but yes. So we knew some students were still at school, and we were able to account for them that way. Or we took phone calls if a parent was looking for a particular child. We were able to locate them on a bus. For whatever reason, that bus may have been running late in the afternoon. The same thing can happen. We're an elementary run, especially where we have preschool or young students, that we make sure they're met by a guardian or a parent or who they're supposed to be dropped off. And if they can't, we don't let them off the bus. We can continue with them on the route until we can make contact and drop them off. So that in turn can make that bus go later again. But yes, we can account for those students.
Now, this isn't the first time your company has had a first day of school, and there have been delays, but this seems like a really big delay. Is there anything extraordinary that went on that you're leaving out?
No, sir. It's just we need to do a better job, and we will do that.
For parents who, let's say they waited at the bus stop for 40 minutes and they decide to just take the child to school, do you suggest parents just wait or take it upon themselves to do what they see best?
Well, every parent's different, but we will get their child picked up, and it's hard for me to say every specific case, but we will send routes out if we have any students that we're notified that are waiting for a bus or missed a bus or need to be picked up, and they can certainly call us at our number, and we will dispatch or we will see where the bus is at.
So if we're understanding just kind of the main reasons to you attribute the delays would be you need more drivers, and those drivers understandably did not time their routes out correctly. I mean, is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't say that. What I would say, driver shortage, yes. We continue to need more outstanding drivers, absolutely. When I say a driver didn't time a route out, I can't put that blame on a driver. What I'm saying is, as we develop routes, you put it on a piece of paper with the routing software, and it says, stop here. It takes you 8 minutes to get to the next stop. It takes 7 minutes to the next stop. That's only as good as the traffic and the daily situation allows. So as we run that route, even after we dry run it without students, other things can happen that delay a bus, and then we have to look at it. Is it a one-time delay, or do we need to adjust the times? And that happens. Some routes, a great number of routes, were right on time and ran with the driver coming in and say, my route's right on time. I was right where I needed to be, right at time. I got to school on time. No changes needed.
When you did the dry run, did you come into any issues that you were able to troubleshoot and prevent? Absolutely.
We were changing routes, every day, from Friday till Monday till Tuesday. But then also at that point, we have to be able to communicate to a parent a route. You can't be changing it the morning of school, if that makes sense, right? So we will make more changes. We have new students coming on board where we have to add students. We may have to add a stop. Sometimes we have a stop already in place and we can just have the student go to a already assigned stop, but there's certain cases where we'll have to add stops. So those routes will continue to change until we get all students enrolled and on buses.
I assured him he'll be leaving around 1 because he's got to go back to the bus depot for the afternoon. So can we just, I don't want to say one more question, but can we kind of wrap this up, guys?
You probably heard me ask this question, Dr. Lyons. How many employees from Mountain Valley were hired by Durham?
I don't have an exact percent, but I can tell you we did offer employment to all drivers, aides, employees that were in good standing. And what I mean by that, they were in good standing with Roanoke City Public Schools, and that met our qualifications, for our backgrounds, drug screening, pre-employment, MVRs, all those things. I don't have an exact number, but we hired a great number of the former bus
Yeah,
drivers.
the reason I ask is that those drivers would obviously be really familiar with the routes and where, and, neighborhoods they intend to go
Yes.
to, and just general.
And some of those, like I said, probably were no different than last year and went off without a hitch. But sometimes routes change because of new subdivisions, or there's been a change in an attendance zone or boundaries or things like that. So a route last year may not be the same route this year.
And to follow up on your previous answer, could those last-minute route changes over that previous weekend have contributed to these delays?
I don't believe so. I think they can only make it better. And as we make those changes, and as drivers come in at the end of the route and say, I need some help here, I've got too many students on this stop, different things, we make those adjustments and then we communicate those out.
And so you don't, from this point forward, anticipate a similar issue with the phones that you had yesterday?
No, we do not.
And what exactly, I just want to make sure that I fully understand the issue with the phones yesterday. When people called in, they weren't able to speak to a representative and who could track their student, and why was that?
Well, it was extremely busy, as it is any first day of school, and then also as those phones rolled over, how they were rolling through our phone system, it just wasn't rolling correctly. So we believe we've got that fixed, and we have additional people to answer those phones and
Rolling
make it
correctly as in it wasn't going to the person it
well,
needed to go to?
if it went to the first line and it didn't get answered, it maybe didn't roll over to the next phone in the next office or the next one over. But I believe we've got that all squared away for this afternoon.
And more people to answer?
Yes, ma'am.